Kakake, the African Voice. Time to start our conversation, and it's a day of books. And if you haven't seen books, you're going to see books today, written by one man. One man, 50 solid books. And you'll be asking, how exactly did he go about this? We're talking about Chief Mike Ozekome, who is a pro-democracy activist. Of course, you know he's a senior advocate of Nigeria, wearing so many caps on the show this morning right here on Kakake, the African Voice. It's his 67th birthday, and he has decided to celebrate it this way. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Nigeria.
You know, when I look at you, when you walked into the studio, I was wondering whether you're actually 67 or 27. Which one?
67 good years on Mother Earth here.
And you look this way.
I think I'm aging backwards.
How did you go about it?
I don't know how my gene came about. I do know that my parents also, even in their 90s, they look very young. So whenever I tell people I'm 67, they say, no, you can't be 67. Some people meet me and say, oh, how is your father? I say, who is my father? They say,
Michael Zekome.
I say, but I've been Michael Zekome.
Oh my goodness.
They say, but I've been reading about you since 1982. I say, yes, it's me. It's only God that we can give the thanks and glory to in full adoration.
That's special grace.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at some of the books here. These are not even all of the books.
No.
How did you manage this? 50 books.
Yeah, I would describe myself with all humility as a philosopher, a deep thinker. I just sit down and ask certain questions. Why this? Why not this? Where to? How? I ask the whys, the hows, the wheres, the whens. Many times when I sleep, I just write an article in my head. So I merely wake up to put it down. And it has been like this all my life. So the books you are seeing, it's not just sitting down in one day to write 50 books. Some of them are based on articles, lectures that I have personally written. For example, I write for 8 newspapers every week. 8 Nigerian newspapers every week since 2014, when I started my first column, the Nigerian Project, in Sunday Telegraph. By 2016, April, I started writing for the Sun newspaper, Hard Facts. By 2018, I started writing for This Day newspaper, Constitutional Democracy. I write for This Nigeria. I write for the Boss newspaper. I write for National Star. I write for The Pointer. And of course, in my home state, in my home, amongst my people, I write for Afema News for nearly 30 years. So I generate ideas. Some of the books, on the other hand, are core books started from the scratch, from the very scratch. For example, I decided to write some books on leadership. I have one of them titled From Grass to Grace and From Grace to Grass. Why is it that some people who were born with silver, golden spoons in their mouth, how do they manage to crash? Why is it that some others, like me, who were born without any spoon in their mouth, not even a wooden one, could climb the rung of the ladder? What are those traits? There's another one titled Leadership by Example, which was forwarded by former President Jonathan. In fact, all these 50 books were forwarded by different Nigerians, great Nigerians, depending on what issue, what item, what theme I am dealing with. Some by former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Jonathan Goodluck, Chief Emeka Anyaku, Esama Chief Igbenedion, Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, Pat Utomi, Anyim Pius Anyim, Matewale, Governor Ayade, Chief Adebanjo, Papa Clark, Professor Bolaji Akiyemi, Justice M.B. Idris of the Supreme Court, Justice So, Chief Judge of the Federal High Court. I have Dele Momodu, John Momo. So it depends on what theme I'm dealing with. And I make sure that the forwarder must be a square peg in a square hole. So I'm launching the 50 books by God's grace next tomorrow at Continental Hotel, now formerly called Sheraton Hotel, Abuja, from 1 p.m. Chief Olusegun Obasanjo is the chairman of the occasion. Prince Arthur Eze Ozogbundu is the chief presenter. Chief Okosa is a co-presenter. Chief Professor Wole Olanikpeku SAN is the reviewer of the 50 books. How he wants to do it in 10 to 15 minutes.
I'm wondering.
Yeah, because Wole Olanikpeku himself is a legal giant, an icon in the legal profession. And when I told him, say, don't worry, Aburo me, Mike, I will review all of them in 15 minutes. And I know he can do it. So what I'm doing is to contribute to the pool of knowledge. Because it is ideas that govern the world. And one of the books is actually titled How Ideas Drive the World. It's no longer black gold, crude oil, or gas. No. The greatest countries in the world are driven by ideas. Some of the books, for example, are on real law, solid law, constitutionalism and the Constitution, the doctrine of separation of powers, the legislature, the executive, the judiciary. These are different books. One of them deals with personal property law. The first book ever on personal property law in Nigeria. There are many books on property law, but this one is personal property law, which is based on a comparative analysis of case law across the world, and then anchored finally on the Secured Credit Transactions Immovable Assets Act of 2017, which is itself derived from the United States Article 9 of the UCC. Some are based on Africa. For example, one of them I wrote is The World at the Feet of Africa. I want to change the narrative of Africa being seen as a conquered territory. You know, how Europe underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rodney, for example. I try to bring out the positive aspects of Africa. How it was us that actually made the world to be thick. So I titled that one, The World at the Feet of Africa. Then I decided to go into black power, blackism. And one of the books is titled How the Black Race Changed the World. Unknown to many people, apart from being a lawyer, I'm an historical buff, enthusiast. I write books on history. I've written some on Benin history, from ancient to modernity. The Afema people, history and civilization. I've written on Wepawa My People. So I write books on history. I write books on philosophy.
Yes, Chief.
I just write and write and write.
You know why I'm actually fascinated about all of this? Because you are described as one who paints words, mentally recorded pictures with words.
Yes.
So it's actually explaining what you're saying now, that you all have this mentally, and then you also put them down.
We call them adventitious ideas. They're already innate in you. You only need to generate them.
So this does it come to you naturally, or is it something you studied that made you become the way you are when it comes to
I
writing
think it's
books
both.
and oratorial as well?
Yeah, some come to me naturally. Some people say I'm an orator. I didn't know that. I just know I speak naturally. You give me an issue to speak on, I just begin to speak extempore. I think some of it is ingrained, but some you cultivate, you learn as you go on in life. That's why we say ingenuity is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. You say, oh, it's a genius, it's a genius. You go and check it out. He's doing 99% perspiration, whereas all that remainder is just 1% inspiration. So what I want to do in my life is to be remembered for as a person who contributed to knowledge, to the advancement of knowledge, so that when I die, you will say, you can put on my epitaph, as my epitaph, Winnie Widdy Wissy. I came, I saw, and I conquered. Not just in courtroom gladiatorial battles, not just in the classroom, not just in public speaking, but also in writing, putting it down like words on marble, so that generations yet unborn will be able to see these your works. For example, Chief Ganifaremi, my late mentor, for whom I was deputy head of chambers in 1985, and very proudly I must say, he increased my salary from 400 naira a month to 500 naira a month. I became a big boy. We conceptualized the Nigeria Weekly Law Report together, which is today the flagship of the legal practice in Nigeria. He sat me there and said, Ozek Baba, because he gave me three names, Ozek Baba, or Mobile Dictionary, or Mobile Library. These were the three pet names he gave to me. So one day he said, Ozek Baba, I said, sir, he said, we want to democratize law and make it available to every lawyer. Before then, it was the big masquerade lawyers that could access Supreme Court and Court of Appeal judgments. So whenever they arrive court, they would just wave. They tell the court, my lord, only last Friday, the Supreme Court of Nigeria decided as follows. Of course, all your opponents are kept napping. So Gani told me, say, Ozek, I said, sir, say we must democratize law. We must make it available to every lawyer. Then he had in his front, like this, the English Weekly Law Report, WLR, English Weekly Law Report. So he said, Ozek, what should we call this law report? I said, yes, sir, the answer is there. This WLR, which is the English Weekly Law Report. Let's make Nigeria, let's indigenize it to Nigeria. Nigeria Weekly Law Report by adding Nigeria. Then he jumped up, Ozek Babao, Ozek Babao, Mobile Library. Then we say, Eba Mikwe Ojo. Mr. Ojo was the chambers manager. Once he came, he said, you know what? Go and buy suya. Go and get suya. If you see agbado, corn, buy, pear, coconut, then you know that today you are not going home. Of course, when I went to office on a Monday, I will be returning on Saturday. I'll be sleeping on the floor of my office. Till today. Last night I slept in my office. I slept on the floor. I woke till 4:30 a.m., then slept. It had been in me. Then he now asked, what will be the color of the Nigeria Weekly Law Report? I said, it's as simple. This one, this English Weekly Law Report, is light yellow, light blue. So let's make our own deep yellow and deep blue. Then he shouted, Ozek Babao. That was how we birthed the Nigeria Weekly Law Report on the 1st of October, 1985. And I was assistant editor in past 1 to 12 before I left to found my chambers. So I have been in the business of writing since primary school days, critiquing, speaking truth to power, challenging authorities, even in secondary school, even before even in the university. I didn't just start it So it is who I am. It's in me as a gene that when I don't fight injustice or impunity, I can't sleep.
So it's a God-given gift.
Yes,
so
it's a God-given gift.
Okay, so if you look at this 50 books
Yeah.
minus the 67 years that you are, this will almost look like you're writing one book, in a day from the day you were born, so to speak. Really.
Let me shock you on that. Actually, as I talk to you, I wanted to celebrate my 67th birthday with 67 books. The other 17 are actually in press. They are already written on core areas of the law, mostly. The Nigerian law of local standard, which I had written as far back as 1988, when I was just 7 years at the bar. I had also co-authored Nigerian law of contract with Dr. Ibe Kachiku, former Minister, Petroleum, and former GMD, NNPC. We also co-authored Nigerian Company Law and Nigerian Company Law and Practice. So those books, for example, I decided to now write them out and upgrade them using the new dispensation. Some of the books I'm telling you about are about 800 and something pages. For example, one of the books I'm writing, that I'm launching, is how the coronavirus changed the world. I am a lawyer, but I got inquisitive when the coronavirus broke out in Wuhan, China, late 2019, and then in Nigeria, early 2020. Why? Then I looked at the concept of pandemics, plagues, all over the centuries. I started writing the book. It's almost 1,000 pages. I finished writing that book, How the Coronavirus Changed the World, just 2 months ago. It's almost 1,000 pages. I am not a doctor, but I was able to research to know why, what, even giving prescriptions as to how to cure it, God forbid, in the event that it again breaks out in the future. So I actually wanted to write 67 books, which I had already written. One of them is on ACJA, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, by which when you hold it, you can know the section, you can know the cases decided on it, the facts of the case, the holding, the principles, the justices who decided the matter. There's also one again on evidence, Michael Zegome on evidence law. That one is almost 1,000 pages. There is one on bail. That is why I say some of these things didn't just come today. The book on bail, I've been writing it for 25 years. Each time I have to review it. Each time I have to review it again and again. Today the book is now in 2 volumes on bail. Both of them are over 1,500 pages. So what I do is to pick an area. It may be an area that has never been touched before. Like one of the books here, Commercial and Economic Law in Nigeria. I took on those 2 areas of the law in one full book. It's one of the books here. So if you check them, you will see, for example, this one is titled Blood on the Niger and Benue. Nigeria's grim insecurity situation. Blood on the Niger and Benue. And because of the journalist in me, I caption the books with some journalistic
catchy phrases and
yes,
titles.
phrases. Because I like writing. So I can give headlines. I always tell editors, why don't you employ me? I will give you headlines. For example, this one is the judiciary as an arm of government. This one is how Buhari misgoverned Nigeria.
With tears in the eyes of
you can see the
tears. Bloody tears.
Bloody tears of blood for the eye.
Quite illustrative.
Yeah, very illustrative. You can see this one. That one was forwarded by Senator Shehu Sani. You can see this one, my thoughts on prominent personalities. I like celebrating people, both living and dead. So you see, there's hardly any great Nigerian I have not celebrated. Nobody pays me to do it. But I believe that the labors of our heroes
shall not be in vain.
Shouldn't be
never
forgotten.
be
Talking about labors of our heroes,
Yes.
let me drag you to something that I know will also be very, very interesting to you.
Yeah.
The days of the pro-democracy activism with the likes of Joe Keyodumaki, Bekor Ransom Kuti, Femi Falana, who is also a senior advocate of Nigeria like you now, and of course Chief Gani Fawehinmi. Those heady days of the campaign for democracy under the government of the late General Sani Abacha. How did you find motivation all of those days? Why weren't you scared for your life at that point?
Yeah. Like I said, it apparently is genetic in me. I started it from primary school days. In the village, I was born in Nijukwe village. And before I went to Aginebode, I was already about 8 years old, which is just 10 minutes away. So in a rustic village, for that matter, where we would go and play with scorpions and snakes as the toys we had, I noticed that I would be fighting. I would meet two young boys fighting. Then I would just join one. Of course, usually on the side of the weaker one. And the big one will beat both that his opponent and beat me. If you look at my lip here, you still see a mark here. One of them beat me and then gave me a mark on my leg. When the elders will come, why is the trouble? What happened? I will tell the elders, I do not know. I saw him beating him, so I joined.
Without judgment.
Yeah. I didn't then know that it was human rights activism in me that was brewing. I carried that from the primary school to the secondary school, where I founded a club, the Press Club. And I was using it to criticize teachers who apparently had some amorous relationship with some females, for which I was suspended at a time. I carried it to the University of Ife, now OAU, Obafemi Awolowo University. I was a student union activist. In fact, I was made the active speaker. So I was speaker peremptory when we preached.
Of the SRC.
Of the SRC, God bless you. When we preached the then speaker. It was Femi Falana who nominated me as the speaker. We impeached the other speaker, and I moved a motion that since we were going to probe the speaker, the principle of nemo judex in causa sua, no one must be a judge in his own cause, should apply, and I could no longer preside. So we voted him out, and I was made the speaker. I led the University of Ife Students' Union in January 1980 to Benin, where we did a new constitution for NANS, National Association of Nigerian Unity, Nigerian Students. It used to be called NONS, National Union of Nigerian Students, under Segun Okeo. So during the Alim-Mongo crisis of 1978, they banned NONS. So we metamorphosed into NANS. I led the Ife, and I was the best debater at Ife, writing in many of the newspapers on campus, serious ones. So I carried this one gradually, and I found myself who would be inviting Gani Fawehinmi, Toyo Olorode, Wole Soyinka, Tai Sholari, Dr. Badi Onimoge, Comrade Ola Oni, Chris Okoli. We'd be inviting them to Ife to come and speak to us. So they were generating, Gani Fawehinmi, of course, Komi Shola Oshobo, with whom I was doing all my internship. So, naturally, this thing came to play when the military struck, and we found ourselves fighting the military. My first detention was actually in April 1986, when I sued the Ibrahim Babangida government and the AFRC, Armed Forces Ruling Council, against removal of oil subsidy. This oil subsidy we are still talking about
Today,
38 years ago, I waded in. Justice Idowu Agoro, on December 29, 1987, 37 years ago, said I had no local standard to challenge the Armed Forces Ruling Council and Babangida because they were ruling by decrees, and that the decrees were inviolable. That is 7 years ago. You will find it reported in National Concord of December 30, 1987. So my first detention was April at the DSS office, Awolowo Road, Ikoyi. Who is this small boy worrying this government? So they picked me up. Then by 1988, some of us met, and we discovered that Gani couldn't do it alone, solo. He was doing too much, but the effect was no longer being felt against military authoritarianism and totalitarianism. So 5 young men decided to found the first human rights body in Nigeria, the Civil Liberties Organization,
CLO,
which we founded on the 15th of October, 1987.
Okay, Chief.
Dr. Lisa Agbakoba was the founding president. Clement Nwankwo was the founding secretary. I was the founding director of legal services. Abduro was the founding director of mobilization. Richard Akinola was the founding director of publicity, while Emmanuel Erakotobo was the founding treasurer. It was with that one that we used to start fighting the military. Then, by 1980, then we started branching out. I branched out to form UDD, Universal Defenders of Democracy. Others left to found DA, Democratic Alternative. You had the CDHR, the CD. But we discovered that these splinter groups were not strong enough to take on the military. So in 1998, we decided to come together to form the Joint Action Committee of Nigeria, JACOM, headed by Chief Gani Fawemi. I was the Deputy National President in charge of publicity and publications. It was with that body that we used to finally fight the military to a total halt. We joined with NADECO, then the labor organization led by Adam Soshomole. We were on the streets every day. Every day. And when I would be going, I had just married newly, and with little children. The children would be crying. They would kneel down, Daddy, don't go. They may kill you. My wife would be kneeling down, cry, don't go. Sweetheart, don't go. Then I would turn to them. I said, in this country, we are minorities within minorities. Do you want to be recognized in this country for who you are, for whom God has made you? The children will say, yes, Daddy. I said, would you want people to cheat you because you're a minority? They will say, no, Daddy. Would you want the military? They are not democrats. Would you want them to continue to rule you by decrees and edicts with military diktat? The innocent children will say, no, Daddy. Then I will tell them, that is why I'm going to the field. Right. Will we go without really knowing whether we will come back, my brother? I'm being very frank with you.
I understand.
Helicopters will be flying over our head. Some of the pictures are there on Google. They don't forget. And they will be tear gassing us. You will see me and Femi Falana and others mopping our noses with kerosene. Some were killed, people like Bagada Kauto. Others ran abroad on self-exile. But some of us stayed put. We were on the streets every day.
I would like you to just hold that thought, Prof, because we need to go on a break now. And we get on the streets of social media to see what's going on there. And then we'll come back and continue this conversation. So just take a drink, catch your breath, and we'll be right back. Very interesting. Listen to Professor Mike Ozekome, High Chief from Agenebude in Edo State, and of course, a senior advocate of Nigeria, constitutional lawyer, a man of many parts, wearing so many caps, joining us this morning to talk about his 67th birthday and, of course, the launch of 50 books. Some of them are right here in front of us, and it's intriguing how he managed to package all of these together. But High Chief, before we left off and went on a break for Honor Shorena to come on and talk to us about what's going on the streets of social media, you were talking about the pro-democracy days, and I wonder really, I recall that as a backroom staff working on this program, Kakaki, the African Voice, you will come on Kakaki in the morning
Yes.
and tell Nigeria
Yes.
that you were going to protest, you were going to do this and
Yes.
do that. And I used to ask myself, doesn't this man fear for his life? How did you do that?
Yeah, I could do anything for Nigeria. Even now, I can still do anything for Nigeria. The Nigerianness or the Nigerianity in me is so humongous that it is indecipherable. I can't decipher it myself. Why I'm so passionate about Nigeria, a country now of about 239 million people by United Nations projection. One of the biggest and most endowed countries in the world. One of the best materially in terms of intellectual property, in terms of natural resources. We shouldn't be where we are. So that had always driven me. How do I get a better Nigeria in my lifetime, not when I am gone? I am 67. I can tell you one thing, I still have more life in me. I'm aware of the provisions of the scriptural provisions in Genesis chapter 6 verse 3. That man shall live for 120 years. So if I'm 67 now, it means I have 33 plus 20. I still have about 53 years more. Is there in the Bible? It's not me. When people like Methuselah, the grandfather of Noah of the ark fame, it was 969 years. And many of them, Enoch, they used to be 700 something, 800 something years on earth. But then the world became so sinful that God said, I will shorten the lifespan of man. I can no longer tolerate these sins. Henceforth, a man can only live for 120 years. It's in the Bible. So if I'm 67 now, I claim the remaining 53 years to still fight for Nigeria. I want to see a better Nigeria in my lifetime, not when I'm gone. I want to secure a better Nigeria for my children, for my children's children, for the children of poor people, the denied, the repressed, the oppressed, the ignored, the defeated, the marginalized, the voiceless. I want to give them voice. I want to help them. I want to help them to build sinews to be able to fight. That's what I stand for. That was why during the heydays against the military, it was like we lost everything in terms of fear. I couldn't be afraid. I wasn't afraid of bullets. On one of the occasions, Ganifa and me collapsed after inhaling too much tear gas. And we carried him on our shoulders. But the following day, we will come again. That passion, that fervor, that eclat, that indignation. Then we fought and drove away the military. But one regret I have in life, and I will now tell you. After fighting and driving away the military, under the auspices of JACON, headed by Chief Ganifa and me, we all came to the conclusion that the military could not midwife democracy, that they were meant for the barracks. We did not believe in the elections that we were going to hold, because it was going to hold without a constitution. Anyway, in fact, elections had already held under General Abdusalami Abubakar and my elder brother, late Admiral Michael Okayakigbe, before a new constitution was promulgated, which is actually a schedule attached to Decree number 24 of 1999. Then we met and took the decision, which historically now I regret because it was wrong. We said we could not engage the military. We could not have anything to do with the military. Like Pontius Pilate, we washed our hands of the transition program. That was how we fought a war. We won the battles. We won the final war. But we did not know we had won. We were still fighting on the streets. The people who did not fight with us, People who were hiding behind their wives' backs during the struggles when guerrilla journalism was introduced. Magazines like Temple Magazine, Newswatch, Tell Magazine, The News. They started doing guerrilla magazine. They went underground. We didn't know we had won the war. We were still fighting. Then these people who never participated, some of them were luxuriating away abroad, so were doing their normal businesses. They came and carried the spoils of war. By the time some of us, me, Femi Falana, and others, tried to make a comeback by 2003, we had lost it. None of us had the money, none of us had the clout, none of us had the reach. So the political class, the elites, had beaten us to it over something we fought for, we labored for, we shed blood for. I was detained many times. On one of the occasions after Gideon Oka coup in April
of 1990.
1990, I was detained at Child Avenue, Apapa, and I met Ulisa Bakoba there already detained. We were put by a toilet with maggots wriggling out so as to punish us maximally. We saw it. We suffered for this country. So my only regret in life is that we fought a war. We won the war, but we did not take the spoils of our war, and we were relegated behind. Perhaps, could that be one of the reasons? The only one that emerged from that cataclysmic scenario is the current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That time, it was so hot that he had gone abroad. He had run abroad on exile. It was so hot. But he was wise enough. He came back, contested, and won the election as governor of Lagos State. But we did not participate. It remains the only regret in life I seem to have. Because apart from that, I believe that I'm God's own grace. I'm the finger of God in Exodus 8:19. God has so blessed me that he raised me from nothing to something, from grass to grace, one of the titles of my book.
So these are the two
For
things,
which I'm grateful.
two key things I would like to bring up from all your story, which I must say are very interesting stories. With all the sacrifices you've made, you have one regret, but do you still feel fulfilled now that one of you, those who fought for this democracy has eventually taken the seat of power as we speak now? You talked about the book you wrote earlier, how you fought against, fuel subsidy removal at that time, and then the fact that you also talked about why you were wondering why people who were born with no spoon in their mouth, like you, grow, and get to a level that they want to be in life, while those who are up there from, birth crash. Now, these are some of the conditions people out there see themselves and they don't know why. Could you just lead us into a bit of that and whether you feel fulfilled really today with the state of the nation?
Yeah, in terms of personal fulfillment as a person, God has been wonderful. I am personally fulfilled. I may not be rich in terms of vulgar wealth, but I believe I'm comfortable. It was Graham who said, if you lose wealth, you have lost nothing. If you lose health, you have lost nothing. You have lost something. But if you lose character, you have lost everything. Character imbued in me by my poor, illiterate peasant farmer parents, of hard work, of integrity, of honesty, of dignity, that my parents sowed in me, are still in me. So I, as a person, am fulfilled. I have a family now, that village boy. I'm a family of 7 lawyers and 2 medical doctors. Then if you add the young lady married by one of my sons 2 years ago, it means I'm a family of 8 lawyers and two medical doctors. Nobody could have asked God for more. But in terms of whether I am fulfilled by the state of the nation, the truth is that I'm not fulfilled. In fact, I can't sleep. The problems of the common man have become more gargantuan than they were years ago. The problems have been graduating geometrically, not arithmetically. Geometrically in the sense that last night, for example, I couldn't power the big generator in my office because I worked there till 4:30 a.m. before I slept on the floor, on the rug of my office. We had to use small generator because I couldn't afford the diesel. Guess what? The small generator that the office boy used to go and fill with fuel with 5,000 naira, then he will have 2,000 naira transport. Last night we filled it with 33,000 naira. You go to the market for mere condiments, tarodo, tatashi, palm oil, salt, rice. My wife just bought some local rice, the local one, grown in Nigeria. She bought them 93,000 each. If the minimum wage is just 70,000, it means that you will require a Nigerian any salary for 2 months before you can think of buying a bag of rice. Things have spiraled out of the reach of the common man. Transportation. We had to rearrange my office in a way that, because we have always worked every Saturday, in a way that we can now do Zoom meetings for Saturdays. I was forced to increase salary again and again 4 times in the last 7, 8, 9 months. So that the people can meet their own life expectations. We do not have a living wage. PMS, fuel, in some places is now about 1,500, 1,600 per liter, which was just about 148 barely a year ago. Inflation has grown teeth. Corruption has become more endemic. The government is too heavy, is too behemoth, too elephantine. I have told President again and again in my rise up on television appearances to do something about the government. It is too big. We spend over 75 to 80% on recurrent expenditure, not on capital projects. No nation grows like that. What are we doing with 109 members of the Senate and 360 members of the Green Chamber, House of Representatives? Why not have one chamber? Or you put all of them to sit on part-time basis. After all, under the Constitution, if any legislator sits for 6 months, he has fulfilled the constitutional requirement. Why do we drain too much money into paying salaries and perquisites of office? What led to the mass uprising in Kenya under President Ruto, when he wanted to take a $2.5 billion loan, and the people went on mayhem and seized the parliament.
Okay.
So in other words, Mr. President, I've told him again and again, we are soulmates. We fought together in the Human Rights League. We defended MK Abiola. Some were killed. I want you, sir, Mr. President, to know that the common man is being more and more beleaguered on a daily basis. That, like Ayikwe Ama wrote in his book, The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born, we now have Nigerians as walking corpses or the sleeping dead. It is not good for us. I do not care about IMF and World Bank phonetics or mouthing, the GDP has increased here. The question is, do they translate to food on the table of the common man? So Nigerians are groaning. There's melancholy in the land. There is hopelessness, helplessness. And I want Mr. President to tackle this matter with the urgency of yesterday. Okay. Removing oil subsidy has not helped, because the oil, the money, the extra money that we were told was being given to states, it has not translated to democratic dividends for the people. Rather, the people are now more asphyxiated, hemorrhaging.
Prof.
And my heart bleeds, my brother.
Let me ask
These
you.
are the things that make me not to sleep at night.
Okay. Let's talk. Let me ask you to remind us when these books will be launched again, where they will be launched, at what time of day?
Yeah, the book launch, I like the word presentation, because when you say launch, it triggers all the memory of just money, money, money. There are many things I value more than money. We need money, yes, but more knowledge, capital development, human capital development are more important to me. At Continental Hotel, formerly Sheraton Hotel, on Thursday, the 17th of October 2024, we'll be launching or presenting these books. Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, is the chairman for the occasion, by the grace of God. Prince Arthur Eze Zogundu is the chief presenter, by the grace of God. We have traditional rulers that will grace the occasion, by God, the Oni of Ife, the Obi of Onitsha, the Dane of Agbo, the Oluwo of Iwo, the Okumagbe of Wano Kingdom, the Sultan of Sokoto, all of whom had actually written me congratulatory messages, for which, sirs, I am very grateful. I'm too small, too Lilliputian to receive the kind of letters you wrote to me and the kind of things you said about me, making me actually taller than I really am. So from 12 noon, from 1 p.m. that day, we will gather at Continental Hotel to present these books to the world. And guess what? We are putting them on Amazon and other websites, so that people can purchase the hard copies or the soft copies or even the video version. You can pay in naira, you can pay in dollars, you can pay in pounds, you can pay in yen or euro, so that the books will be accessible to the whole world. Because no one lights a candle
and keeps it
and push it under the bushel. Nor does a candle lose its flame by lighting other candles.
All right, Chief. I'm sure that if we leave you for the next 3 hours, there will be so much to talk about, really, about you as a person, about the state of the nation, about Nigeria, and about the books.
I just
as
want
well.
to say that as a family man, I'm a happy man. I'm a dedicated family man.
Yes.
My wife is the greatest gift God had given to me, Lady Dr. Josephine Michael Zekoma, who is also my managing partner. Wonderful human being, my girlfriend, my lover, my confidant, my mother, my sister. They appear to be oxymoronic, but that is the truth. She's a fantastic human being, and all my children, cultured, well cultured. Who, if they were here now, they would kneel down to greet you.
Oh, great.
I just thank God for my life. I am the finger of God. I am Psalm 105 verse 15. Touch not my anointed.
And do my prophet.
And do my prophets no harm.
All right. Congratulations.
So God is with me.
Congratulations.
And I thank God. And I thank God. And I thank God.
All right.
I can never cease thanking God in my life.
From all of us on the Kakaki crew, we wish you a very happy birthday.
Amen.
A very great outing there.
I hope you wish me 1 or 20 years.
Yes, we do.
Genesis
we agree
6:3.
with you on that.
Yes, now.
Okay, that's been
I'm only
Chief Mike
67.
Ozekome, a constitutional lawyer, a human rights activist, a pro-democracy campaigner, senior advocate of Nigeria, officer of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, senior advocate of the masses, voice of the people, senior advocate of Nigerian students, a whole lot of caps he's got here. Congratulations. Happy birthday.
Thank you
sir.
very much.
And you have a
Nigerians,
great outing.
have faith in your country. Nigeria is a great place. Don't give up. Let us all work together for the unity, progress, and prosperity of this great country given to us by God. Don't despair. Tomorrow will be a better day. There's a light, a ray of light at the end of the tunnel. God bless Nigeria.